Hi, it's Kristen and Bethany here with Girl Defined Ministries, and in today's vlog, we're going to be discussing the question, how old should I be before I start dating?
So this question, how old should I be before I start dating, is one of the most popular questions we get. And I think more recently.
Get it? Yeah, all the time. It's a good question.
At our conference recently, tons of girls during the Q&A were asking that in emails, Instagram messages, Facebook messages. And so we were talking about it like, let's talk about this because the two of us, we do have a lot of thoughts on it, and we did wait until we were at a certain point in our life before we entered into a relationship. And so we were like, hey, let's just open up, share our stories, talk about a little bit of romance, and kind of share why we did what we did. So for me, I remember being in high school, and I remember being interested in guys and thinking ooh.
Before high school.
Yeah, more seriously though.
Yeah.
He's kind of, you kind of start to get to that point where
you start
you're more
thinking
serious.
of the future.
Yeah. Not just crushes, there's a crush, but more could he be someone I might end up with? Could he be someone I might end up with? You start to have those thoughts more seriously. But because of a lot of just books we had read, talking to our parents, other wise mentors and counselors, both of us waited, I think, until our later teens, even early 20s, to get into a serious relationship. And for me, I remember being 19. That wasn't the magical age, but it was just 19 when a guy came along, expressed a lot of interest in me. I really liked him. He was a really good friend, and we actually entered a serious relationship. And that was my first, big serious relationship where I thought, I might marry this guy. And, well, I'm still single. It didn't work out, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Go read about how to handle a breakup on the blog.
Yeah.
You'll hear about it
lots
there.
of stories.
Anyways, the reasons, though, that we waited were really specific. And so in this blog, we want to share with you why we waited until we were a little bit older and more mature to get into a serious relationship. And we just want to encourage you to do the same thing.
So like Bethany said, back when we were in high school, we actually faced the exact question that we're addressing on the vlog today. We asked the question, how old should we be until we start dating? That was a question we had because like Bethany said, we noticed guys noticed us. There was a lot of interest circulating, and we wondered should we start dating? Should we start getting in relationships? But during that season of our life, some people really challenged us. Like Bethany said, our parents, some books we read, and they were asking us this question. Yeah. What is the purpose of a romantic relationship? And when we looked around at our friends, at our culture, kind of what was trending, what was popular, getting in a relationship was just about having fun.
Yeah.
It was about you hooking up with a cute guy, going on dates and having a good time. That's really all that it was about. There wasn't really a big picture, a long-term vision involved in the relationship. And so as we were personally challenged with that question, what is the purpose? We were driven to have to look at God's word for answers, to have to look at wisdom and say, okay, what is the bigger picture? What is the purpose? Is it about just having fun and dating around? Or should we as Christian girls have a long-term vision for relationships? And when we stepped back and really started evaluating this question and evaluating our lives, we realized, wow, God's bigger picture, when we look in the Bible, his bigger picture for romantic relationships really is to put us on a path toward one thing. And that one thing ultimately is marriage. That's really in scripture what we see romantic relationships to drive us toward that end goal ultimately, which is marriage. And so if we're just getting in casual relationships, kind of dating around with no big picture in mind, no end goal in mind, just having fun, then you end up just on these circular relationships that just kind of go round and round. You hop from one guy to the next, and there's really no big picture in mind. And as Christian girls, we had to stop and really ask ourselves, is this the best plan?
Yeah.
Is this setting us up for long-term success? Is this good, honestly, good practice for a future marriage, which is long-term commitment for your whole life, right? And so with all of that in mind, we really decided, wow, it doesn't honestly seem like the wisest idea to get in a relationship when you're too young to really go anywhere with it, to really do anything with it, right? You're just in these relationships for years and years, which can bring up a lot of temptations and a lot of struggles. So for us, with that in mind, and with some other things Bethany's going to share, we really decided that it would be wiser for us to wait so we could be more intentional in a serious relationship once we were mature and actually ready for it.
So we know everything we're saying. It's not like the law. This isn't you have to obey this. This is the way.
There isn't a one-size-fits-all perfect mold.
There isn't a one-size-fits-all perfect mold, but there are things that are more helpful. And so because this stuff was so helpful for us, really back in high school and even junior high, middle school, thinking about these things, we really just want to share them with you because they really impacted our lives. And now that we're kind of on the other side looking back, we look back and go, wow, that was really helpful. We're so grateful that people were willing to share those things with us as older women now, not older women, like
We're
later.
older women.
She's 30, so I guess you're pretty old. Anyways, but there were 3 specific things that we were challenged to think about, and I think these were the most impactful. The number 1 was to think about the temptation that could come along with being on these long relationships when you can't go anywhere with them. So think of being in a romantic relationship with a cute little hunk that you're totally in love with when you're like 14 or 15. If marriage is nowhere in sight because you're just too young, you're still in high school, you just realistically can't
go anywhere
afford to
with
get
it.
married.
Yeah.
What about the temptations? You're really attracted to this guy, but you can't really go anywhere long term. So just we were challenged to think about the temptations that could arise if we're in these romantic relationships before we can do anything about it.
Because we were striving for purity. That was our goal. We wanted to remain pure. We wanted to pursue purity. And we saw that these relationships at a young age were probably not going to be helpful in achieving that.
Yeah, totally. So the first thing that we were challenged to think about was temptation. The second thing we were challenged to think about is just intentionality with relationships. So thinking of the big term picture, the long-term vision, and asking ourselves, okay, like Kristen said, what is the purpose of marriage? Where am I hoping to go with this relationship? And just thinking of the bigger picture, the covenant of the relationship, marriage, long-term commitment, building habits that will set you up for success. So using these years to really prepare for that in that way. And then the last thing that we were challenged to think about was just using our single years wisely. It can be so easy to let these single years, even when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, to become all about you. Okay, what fun am I going to have? What am I going to do? What guys like me? What guys am I going to be in a relationship with? Instead of saying, wow, how can I use these single years intentionally to love on others, to serve others, and even to prepare for a marriage to the best that I can be? I'm not married, but I hear that it can be pretty challenging and hard at times.
Marriage?
Yes. Like there can be hard things that you have to work through.
Yes.
So preparing beforehand, I hear, is a good idea.
Oh, yes. I wish I had prepared more, but yes.
So using the single years wisely, and even as a 28-year-old girl, I can say that I am still striving to use these unique years where I don't have someone I'm committed to serve God in unique ways that I couldn't if I were in Kristen's shoes.
Because relationships are time consuming. Even just when you're young, any relationship takes up so much time, so much energy, so much effort, so much emotion. Yeah. And if you can't do anything with a relationship because you're too young, think of all that you could invest with that same energy, time, and resources into something, building God's kingdom.
Totally. So with all of this said, we know we've said a lot, and this has kind of been more of a down-to-earth, just us sharing our hearts with you, but we really want you to just take a step back. Don't look at what the culture's doing. Don't look at what you feel like doing. Take a step back and say, okay, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with these years? What is the purpose of a relationship? And if you don't really have answers to those questions for you personally, we just want you to encourage you to stop and think about that. So we hope this vlog has really challenged you to think, just to stop and think, okay, what is the purpose of a relationship? Why do I want to get into a relationship? Where am I going? How am I using these years? And just like people asked us, it kind of takes a time to slow down, think about where you're going, and just make better and wiser decisions.
So to wrap it all up, the two of us, like we said, we waited until we were older, a little more mature to enter into serious relationships. And looking back now that we're even older, we don't regret it. In high school, seriously, we didn't really feel like we missed out. Sure, our friends had boyfriends, but we had an amazing group of friends. We were able to serve in ministry. And
it was hard at times, though.
It was hard at times. It wasn't like easy peasy, but looking back, we're so grateful that we waited. We see so many benefits now in the long picture, in the long term, looking back on why we waited. So we hope this vlog has just been an encouragement to you. We hope it's been kind of opened your eyes, maybe even answered some questions. If you have further questions, we would love to hear from you. So leave us a comment below. Also, check out our blog, girldefined.com/blog, because we have so many blog posts that we've written on the topic of relationships, sharing our stories, sharing how I got married, breakups, so many more. So check out girldefined.com/blog for more details on this.
Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from us, you can subscribe to our channel below because we post new videos every Wednesday.
The grossest hair.
I know.
Your eyes actually do look very red, I noticed. But in the camera, it won't be obvious. All right, George, ready for the story.
Okay.
I did dry shampoo and I feel like I've got a white streak.
That's okay. Ready?
Much better. Like 100,000 times better.
Every time you finish, you go, it'll work. Yes. Every time. It'll work. Because I always have to dumb and things every time. Like, yes. Yes. Like, you just kind of got stuck on your choke.
I know. It was like a big choke. Like,
that's because she was sermoning and didn't want to stop.
I know.